Hey everyone, and welcome to Joy at Work. Appreciate you joining. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel at the end of this video. It's always great getting your feedback and your comments and suggestions. And today's video is actually uh, a response to a request from Joe Collins to talk about Scrum Master Joy at Work. Now, here's a upfront warning. I haven't really thought or written down a lot of things because I really wanted to just respond to this from the heart, from my experience. So here we go. So the Scrum Master role, if you're not familiar with the role, then you should probably go out to scrumguides.org, or you could take a certified Scrum Master training class, or you could just search on the internet for Scrum Master role or something like that. But in a nutshell, the Scrum Master role has a responsibility of promoting and supporting the use of Scrum in an organization. Scrum is defined in the Scrum Guide as well, right? So Scrum is a pretty cleanly defined process framework. It's a structure in which you can do, for example, software development. It doesn't really tell you how to do software development, like how to write software testing, how to identify what should be developed. There's some practices that you can use as well in the container or construct of Scrum, but it gives that process framework by which you can execute a lot of these software development activities. And the Scrum Master has a responsibility of helping organizations use Scrum and use it well, right? So whether it's the sprint events or whether when to cancel a sprint or what a product owner should do, what the development team should do, what the rest of the organization should do, the Scrum Master has that responsibility. So in a nutshell, the quickest way to find joy at work, I suppose, for a Scrum Master who wants to do what the Scrum Guide says that role should do, is to find an organization that is committed, top to bottom, to using Scrum as defined by the Scrum Guide. It's that simple, right? You find an organization that's committed to using Scrum as defined by the Scrum Guide, and you go in with the intent of helping the organization use Scrum as defined by the Scrum Guide, it's kind of a perfect match, should work out broadly, right? You're working on what you want to work on, you're working with people who are committed to Scrum, and your manager, the kind of the third component, is also a champion and is doing things to enable Scrum in the organization, and that should work. But here's the catch. Many organizations don't, limit themselves, if I could put it that way, to just Scrum, or stated differently, many organizations are open to experimenting with a variety of agile approaches, agile techniques, agile practices in their software development delivery. And so someone who is maybe tied to the notion of only operating with Scrum, or using Scrum, might struggle or might feel a bit challenged in places where this is not the case. There's also the other situation where some organizations have no intention really of going down this agile journey or going down this agile path, and so Scrum Masters feel that they cannot make a significant contribution in those cases. And there's also kind of a fourth scenario, which is the pace of change, the rate of change, I guess I might put it. It doesn't align with the rate of change. Maybe somebody in the Scrum Master role is looking for, right? So the organization is really just not moving as fast or doing things as quickly as the Scrum Master thinks they should. And so it's really important, if you just kind of wrap this all up, for anybody in this role, and candidly, anybody in a agile adoption change agent type role, to really take the time to decide kind of what environment they're looking for. Are you looking for an environment where you know, in the strictest sense, Scrum is the operating system of choice, and you won't have a problem going in and talking about certain things because largely everybody's there and wants to do it. Or are you walking into a situation where people are not convinced about any agile approach, and you're really going in there not to help them move as much as to help them even adopt the mindset. And those are two different worlds, maybe polar opposites with different situations kind of in between. So it's important. My view on it is that it's more important to move things along, move the ball down the field at a decent pace than it might be important to be completely tied to any one framework or to any one approach, right? We have to ask ourselves, what's our goal here? And from an agile perspective, to me, our goal is to deliver value in the most humane way as we continue to grow. And there are actually many ways to do that. Kind of like there are many ways to skin a cat, right? There just isn't one way. But it's important to understand as a Scrum Master what your preferred approach is. If it's to use Scrum as is, as defined, there's nothing wrong with that. That's what you want to do. You just have to find an environment that fosters that and that aligns with that. If you're kind of more open to whatever approach is out there that is in alignment with growth and continuous improvement and delivering value, then it might not be Scrum. It could be Crystal. It could be XP. It could be anything else. It could be whatever approach helps the organization get better. So it ultimately becomes a choice for the individual. You have to decide what you want to do, what matters most to us, what we care about. Again, Scrum as defined by the Scrum Guide is pretty clear on what the Scrum Master should do and what they should be promoting. So you could say that if you're not promoting things in the Scrum Guide, that you're no longer a Scrum Master. Fine. But at the end of the day, who really cares what we call ourselves? Should really be about what's the difference we're making in the world. How are we making things better? How are we growing? How are those around us growing? And ultimately, are we having or experiencing joy at work? So thanks for tuning in. I hope this was helpful, even though it kind of went over a lot of things really, really quickly. I'll see you next time. Bye.